Good morning, spiders. I'm paying someone else a visit today. Oh god, the smell of these sewers. You see, when I was at the Magic Games, I believe I spotted another old friend of mine. An old friend of mine was at the Magic Games. I do believe, if I remember correctly, where they lived. I think it's high time I pay them a visit. Ah, I see. Now, if memory serves, should have been an entrance some point around here. Ah, just as I remembered. I wonder why it's blocked off nowadays. Certainly didn't used to be that way. Then again, it has been over 2 centuries. Well, this is certainly their house, but I can't seem to see where they are.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello?
I bet you'll be very surprised to see me.
Never too much of a surprise. But a pleasant one, nonetheless.
Yes, what has it been? 200 odd years? Something
Give or
like
take.
that. Yes. No, the thing is, I saw you at the Magic Games, and I thought, whoa, they look awfully familiar. So I thought
You were there.
Yes, I was in the crowd. You probably won't have seen me, but I definitely saw you.
It's good to see you.
Likewise, likewise. So I take it you still do your little prophecies?
Yes. As always.
Yes, I've come to realize, given recent event, just how serious those might be.
Only just realized.
Well, I admit I always thought they were rather vague and far-fetched, but I've seen a few too many people brought their own demise to think that they are just words in the wind at this point.
You flatter me. Come on. To words in the wind.
For Judgment. Judgment returns to forge more blades from cups and coins. Careful you don't get cut by those you create, my friend. Yes, delightfully vague as ever.
They'll be helpful when the time comes. Besides, yours are always warnings with how much trouble you get into.
Oh, please, hardly. I don't find trouble. Trouble, well, finds me. Hence the being dead part. But I got over it at the very least.
You... When did you die?
Oh, around the same time, 200 years ago. Vampire hunters.
That would explain the sudden departure. Forgive me, I didn't realize. I assumed otherwise.
Oh, that's quite alright. That's quite alright.
Can be a problem when I know that I'll see people again. Well, I don't necessarily worry about them dying.
That's understandable. When I woke up, one of the first people I saw was Prince Asher, which was not exactly a pleasant surprise, but... Oh, you should have seen the look on his face.
That he was
It was priceless.
delighted, I'm sure, to have you back.
Yes, not quite, but oh well. The whole prince thing is very new to me.
That's true.
Yes,
It's a different kingdom you've come back.
Oh, very different. I haven't had the chance to really get an idea of this new Prince Asher, but he seems very different from the Asher I remember. Aside from
You mean
the
the boy?
insufferable part. The boy?
Yes, well, when he was just, I don't know, young.
He was very young.
Running
at the time,
around.
yes. Well, he was also just simply so impulsive and violent, and this one writes treaties, this one organizes diplomatic meetings.
I'm not sure how diplomatic they really are, but
Remains
nevertheless.
to be seen. Anyway, speaking of familiar vampires, does Varia happen to still be around? I haven't seen them yet.
I haven't seen them. I went to sleep for, well, for about a century.
And a similar story, I see.
Indeed. I haven't seen them since I awoke, I don't believe. And someone closed off the sewers, and I took that as message enough.
Yes. Yes, I did notice I had to break my way in here, so to speak. But I found it nonetheless, and closed the way behind me once more.
Well, thank you for that. I don't know how many heretics I can stand bursting in.
Yes, they have seemed to have gotten rather violent.
They have. I miss when at least diplomatic immunity was enough to allow me to go back and forth throughout the capital, but unfortunately, no one has any manners anymore.
Yes, well, the world does seem to have rather gone to the dogs in these past 2 centuries. It is not the world I would have preferred to awaken in.
I'm sure you would have preferred not to have to awake at all.
Oh yes, certainly. No, that was quite the unpleasant experience.
Vampire hunters, you said.
Yes, an ambush in the woods between the capital and Rothmore Castle.
I see. It's terribly unfortunate, isn't it?
Oh yes. But I suppose it takes more than that to kill a Rothmore.
And I'm sure, judging by most of them, you got the last laugh, so to speak. I highly doubt they're still alive today.
Oh, I highly doubt it. Speaking of...
All the same, you should be careful.
I don't think so, but speaking of, I rather suspect that my unexpected return has something to do with blood magic, and I was rather wondering if you knew any blood mages that were still around, perchance.
God, unfortunately, the amount of people that I remember who are still alive are few and far between, but of the new ones I've met, no blood mages.
I see. Well, I suppose that's just my luck.
Why?
Well, do you see this brooch around my neck, the ruby?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, I awoke with it, but I can't recall ever owning it in life.
Well, that is fascinating.
So I can't seem to point at anything else that might explain my sudden return.
I know of scientists and mages and those who deal with blood, but no blood mages that I once knew are still alive.
A shame, a pity. Oh well, I'm sure. Well, it doesn't really matter. It was just a mild curiosity of mine.
Indeed. Can I get you anything? I don't have much, of course, but there might still be blood in Varya's room, or
Would you happen to have any blood bottles left in stock that would be just fine?
They should be. They should have some. It's probably old, I'd have to warn you. But I don't know. It's something at least.
See, yes. Well, beggars can't be choosers.
And I'm sure I know there are places where you can gather blood in the capital.
Oh yes, yes. Yes, that place has also rather changed since last I saw it.
Unfortunately.
Rather derelict, I would say.
Much better than run down and nearly abandoned, but yes, derelict.
I hope our dear prince's
It is.
leadership is not to blame for that.
I couldn't say for sure. All I know is that things have changed and will continue to do so. Especially with events upon the horizon.
Unfortunately, yes, I heard there had been a summit meeting called.
Did they? I knew they would. I didn't know if it was quite official yet. As you know.
Yes, I have my sources to find these things out.
Your sources.
My little bats and birdies. Whispering in my ear.
So you saw the assassination attempt then?
Yes, I was there, yes. Rather put a dampener on an
Did you see
otherwise
who?
fine spectacle. Who it was? It was difficult to see from where I was sitting, but I have my suspicions. Though I would have to confirm certain things with the prince first.
The devil, so to speak, is in the details, unfortunately.
Quite.
But even so,
Yes, if you'll do forgive me saying so, when I saw you at the Magic Games, I'd rather suspect you weren't giving it your all. You were a more formidable mage than that, if memory serves.
I don't I don't use lethal magic anymore. And besides, I was there because Paris bid it, not for any wish to join the council.
I see. Yes, that does put things in a different light.
But things went as they were meant to, even the unfortunate bits. I wasn't necessarily a necessary participant, but every now and again the cave walls do feel small.
Yes, I will admit the lack of sunlight is desirable, but other than that, I think I prefer Rothmore Castle to this, respectfully.
To be fair, you've never been a fan of dirt.
Oh, no, rather not. No. Dirt is for those tenants who work my estate, not for myself.
After 2 centuries of absence, do you... Is your estate not rather, well, derelict?
Oh, derelict, certainly, yes. Overgrown, even so, but I've recently hired some new human peasants to work the land once more and bring it back to its former glory.
I see. Well, that's good.
As the prince has been unexpectedly generous upon my return in providing me with funds and materials.
That's unexpected. I mean, it's no secret that, well, you two aren't the fondest of each other.
Yes, that's putting it mildly.
But I'm glad, I suppose.
Yes, if anything, I think
It was...
he just means to keep me quiet and docile with all these new unfamiliar rules for vampires in the treaty. No biting, no turning people, and really is a dull age to live in.
I haven't read the treaty in quite a while, but that is rather different than it once was.
Unfortunately.
And unfortunately, I do miss the grandeur that the vampire court used to have.
Oh, certainly,
Parties and
yes.
dances.
Yes, this one doesn't even call himself a king, calls himself a prince.
Perhaps he's not ready to be king.
How long has it been? Century? 2? Nearly?
Nearly.
If not now, then when? Yes, I have heard of that new second of his, that Khazar person.
Ah,
I've yet
is
to
that
meet
so?
him, but I think I ought to have a talk with him. Find out more about the present prince, rather than the prince I knew.
Strength moves in mysterious ways. But he will be great one day. Kaza, that is.
Yes. You just can't help yourself with the vagaries, can you?
Well, as I have explained, and will do so once more, sometimes I do not know all of the details. And sometimes it's just fun.
I can imagine, yes. Well, I'm certainly glad to have seen another familiar face once more.
Who all have you seen?
Well, aside from you, I've spoken to the prince. I have seen this, what do they call them? Core, this monarch person, and...
Ah, the Empress, yes. She's delightful.
And that Mara person? Well, I haven't spoken to them, but I've seen them once or twice. They seem rather interesting.
The Mer are different, but they're not what they once were. But core, they're lovely.
Certainly,
They will be a good ruler.
certainly fewer than I remember.
Oh. By a few thousand, yes. They faced a great tragedy, but rebuilding will take nearly everything. But it's not impossible.
Hmm.
And worth it, I believe.
Yes, I do think it's certainly worth keeping an eye on them.
Remember what I said. Be careful of the blades you forge. You may find yourself in more than trouble.
Yes, if there's anything the past 2 centuries have taught me, it would be caution.
And yet,
Well, I think I won't take up any more of your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you once more.
of course,
Familiar faces
should
are
be-
a rarity these days.
indeed. If I find anyone who might interest you, I will pay a visit.
Well, I hope the castle will be in a better state by the time you do.
Perhaps.
Very well then, until we meet again, I would say.
Goodbye, Eloise.
Goodbye, Phyllis.
It's always a pleasure.
Oh, certainly. Interesting, very interesting. If there's someone who's still glad to see me, same can't be said for us stuck-up little prince. Oh god, the smell. I'd forgotten it. This place is a maze of its own. Ah. Civilization. Yes, this prophecy does seem to be rather interesting. 200 years ago I might have disregarded it, but like I said, if they were right about Chiron's demise, and Ashes rise to power, and then I simply cannot afford to take risks on choosing whatever verse says is true or false. Yes, once again, a rather productive day. I'm starting to finally reacquaint myself with the world that was so long lost onto me. Oh yes, the vampire territory is rather spectacular. You should have really seen it in its heyday. Then again, I wish you'd seen Rothmore Castle in its heyday as well, but that should be fixed soon enough. But you know, I think I had better get to writing some letters. Yes, that's what I think I'll do. Very well then, spiders, until we meet next time.